Today, people are living with cancer longer than ever before. However, many people don't understand the challenges that cancer survivors face, especially during this unprecedented time. That's why a series called Survivorship Today, What It's Like to Live with Cancer, is shedding light on the realities of living long term with the disease by sharing the stories of cancer survivors across the country. Here with us now is one of the survivors featured in the series, AJ Patel, a stage 4 lung cancer survivor, as well as Shelley Funnassel, CEO of the National Coalition for Cancer Survivorship. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Now, first, tell us a little more about Survivorship Today and why it's important to help people understand the long-term impacts of cancer.
Yes, Makeba, the medical research that has gone on for the last 10 years has completely changed how cancer is handled today. And for many people with this disease, living longer is a possibility that was never imagined before, especially when you have advanced stage disease like myself. So just simply living longer is incredible. And if you think about that for a moment, it's really moving for me. But that doesn't change the reality, which is I still have cancer. It's still there. And it has not gone away and will not go away. So each day brings elements of emotional, psychological, and physical challenges that most people don't understand or see. But from my perspective, it leads to silent suffering. And the Survivorship Today program sheds a light on the silent suffering that is not really understood or seen by many people.
Indeed. Now, also, AJ, tell us what it's like to especially be a lung cancer survivor during this COVID-19 pandemic. What is that like for you?
I thought living with this disease was extremely challenging on a day-to-day basis, especially from an emotional and psychological standpoint. But this pandemic has just taken it through the roof. It's incredibly changed my way of living. Since March of this year, I've been living in isolation with my family for the most part. I rarely go out, which can affect your psyche and the propensity to become depressive. But just at a simple level, we all need to exercise, and it's so important for me to exercise with compromised lungs that the best exercise I can do is to go for a brisk walk before the pandemic. Now with the pandemic, it's important that I protect myself and others with a mask. And it's very difficult with compromised lungs to breathe through a mask and get the required exercise and the mental state of mind that it brings when you do so. But it's not just me that's impacted, it's others around me. For example, my daughter, who is a senior at high school, had to make the deliberate and conscious decision to study from home full time, even though her school is back up and running with classes full time as well. And when I see her working at home, I can tell that she has made this sacrificing decision just so that she can ensure her dad has the possibility of seeing tomorrow, which really plays on my emotion and psychology, because it's not right. They need to experience their life and their senior year. And so this pandemic is really doing a number on my lung cancer on top of, everything we have to manage.
Indeed, and thank you so much for sharing that journey, and especially your daughter's sacrifice for you. That definitely tells to the love and care that she has for you to make sure that you stay well during all of this. Now, that's where survivorship comes in, the Cancer Survivorship Coalition. Shelley, you started this organization, and it recently conducted a survey about the state of cancer survivorship in 2020. Tell us, what did it reveal about the other challenges that cancer survivors face, in addition to the ones that AJ revealed that he's experiencing himself?
Well, I can't claim credit for starting the organization because a group of cancer survivors got together back in 1986 and really recognized the challenges that now that people were living longer after cancer. And at that point, people were still called victims. There wasn't even a concept of cancer survivors or cancer survivorship. And they really wanted to change the way we thought about it and not be considered victims. And so they started our organization 34 years ago, and I'm just honored to lead it right now, and also very grateful to BMS, Bristol Myers Squibb, for their support of our survivorship programs and also for their support of our 2020 State of Cancer Survivorship Survey. So we survey people of all different types of cancer all across the country, all different demographics, to try to understand what their concerns were during and after cancer treatment. And what we heard was similar to what you heard from AJ talking about the silent suffering. They feel like they're getting the care that they need from their healthcare team and to deal with the physical side effects of their cancer, but they're not always getting the same level of support for the other aspects of their cancer, like the fatigue, the anxiety, and depression. Those were some of the top concerns that cancer survivors cited in the survey, but they didn't feel like they were getting the help they needed from their care team, and less than a third of them were talking to their doctors about these issues. We also saw that cancer survivors who completed treatment and moved on to post-treatment survivorship, only about half of them felt like they were very prepared. So there's still more work we have to do to try to help people with cancer deal with all of the emotional and mental health issues around cancer survivorship, and also to help them have a plan for how they're going to manage their health care going forward after cancer, because we always hear from cancer survivors that complete their treatment that the first year after treatment is harder than the treatment itself, and we need to do a better job of supporting them in making that transition. Absolutely.
Now, this particular campaign, one of the main components of it is it gives support and resources, lets people know what those supports and resources are to help them manage their care while also navigating their current environment. So tell us a little bit more about what the Cancer Survivorship Today campaign has to offer for those living with cancer, as well as their caregivers.
Sure. So survivorshiptoday.com has stories of cancer survivors like AJ and others talking about different aspects of how cancer affected their lives, including their relationships, their caregivers, their ability to work. And so it's a great resource to learn more about what cancer survivors go through and how cancer really affects their lives, both on the physical side and also, psychologically, emotionally, their families, and all of the different ways that cancer impacts them and how they're living well with cancer.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking at the website now. There's some phenomenal stories on there, as well as testimonials from people from all walks of life. You have Sterling K. Brown, of course, AJ, as well as many others who are not only sharing their personal stories, but also lending their voice to let people know that they are not alone and these resources are available. So I just want to let everyone know that, again, that website is survivorshiptoday.com. Be sure to visit there for these resources that are available for you, as well as to hear these personal stories from AJ, as well as many other survivors, so that way you can know that you're not alone and also get the tips and advice that you need to continue to thrive during these unprecedented times. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure, and AJ, I wish you the very best in the years to come.
Thank you so much, Makeda.
Thank you.